How do you like that lens cap transition? Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. So first of all, thanks so much to everybody that checked out the short film As I Dream. Recently posted that, blown away by the feedback. Thank you so much. We put so much time and work into that. I've never done a video production like that, which is why I'm making this video. I want to share all the good, knowledgeable info that I learned from this experience. So let's get to it. Also, that's my laptop. There we go. So I was gonna make a 5 big tips or 5 big things I learned on shooting this production, but Epidemic Sound was actually so kind to send me a pretty much interview question list of things that I could answer in this behind the scenes video, and they were all really great, so I figured I'd just answer all of them here in this video because the knowledge could really help out someone that's probably shooting their first production. So let's get into the first one right now. So whenever this gig landed into my lap, I was kind of overwhelmed immediately. Reading that email, I was like, how am I gonna shoot something like this? If you hear a toddler in the background, that's my daughter in the other room. First thing I wanted to do was figure out how many people I need to get this production shot to the best of its ability. So once I kind of figured out a bit of a treatment or storyboard, a kind of idea for the video, and I figured out how many people I need, and I narrowed it down to 4 people, including myself. I was the director, my friend Wes being the DP, and then I had Harry, who was the actor, and then I had my friend Josh and David assisting with behind the scenes content and just additional hands on set. And the cool thing about this that made it a little easier is having, a close connection of creatives. So I was honestly pretty stressed out about the gear that I was going to use in the first place, but it turned out to be just, such a minimal run and gun setup, which I'm so glad because it's what I wanted to do, but didn't know if I could actually execute it like that. But it worked. We only used a handful of gear. We used 1 camera and 2 lenses and a lot of little accessories, but that's pretty much it. So one of the key things that I wanted to use for this production was a cinema camera. So I normally use small mirrorless cameras because, well, they're great for, regular client work, videos like this, anything like that, they get the job done. But because this was a higher end video production, there's something about just cinema cameras that just look different and just give that, filmic feel that look like a movie. And so the people that checked it out and watched it left that feedback. It looks like a movie, it looks like a film, and so I'm proud of that. So I knew that I wanted to hire my friend Wes to be the DP for this video because he has a C200 and he's comfortable using that. And I definitely wanted to approach this differently and not just have like my camera on a gimbal, which is usually the type of work that I shoot. I wanted that natural, organic, handheld look that you can only really get from the weight of a cinema camera, from like a big rig. It's not the same with a mirrorless camera, even if you have image stabilization and stuff, it's just not the same. And then it was just a matter of lens choices. All we did was use a 24mm prime, which is the one I'm filming on right now, and a 50mm prime, which is right over here. That's it. 1 medium regular shot for almost probably 70% of the clips, and then 1 tighter shot to just break those up and get more detailed shots, which work perfectly. So almost all of these shots were either done just on a tripod or handheld. It was that easy. And so we also set up a wireless monitor to see what he was shooting in real time. That way I can kind of just give any direction that I needed and get a real accurate preview of what each shot was looking like. So this whole short film was just done in 3 locations. We rented a studio space, we shot it at the beach, and then we shot at a street nearby the beach. So the first thing that I did to try and get an idea of what locations to look for is kind of look at inspiration. I looked at other films, other movies, shows, videos, other things produced by other creators and see what kind of places they were shooting at to see if that's what I was looking for, and then I would go try and find something like that here in my area. So it sounds really simple and easy to come up with, but the truth is that we ran into a lot of problems early on. Luckily, the studio shoot went really smoothly. I booked 4 hours and we actually finished in about 3 hours, but that's a major tip. Always book more time than you need because I knew that setup alone was just gonna be like an hour, and it was. But luckily we were able to shoot that last scene in just 2 hours, and we had an hour to recap everything and plan the rest of it. Then from there, bought the guys lunch, then we went straight to Galveston, and this is where we had our first issue. We thought We had one beach area planned out. We get there and it is crowded. So we basically had to keep going down the island to see where we could find a more secluded beach. Luckily, we had a couple of other locations in mind, and we found one where we could drive up and there was like no one. It worked out that way. So the first thing that I did was obviously listen to the track, and funny enough, it was not what I was expecting whatsoever. And so it's a very slow, mellow, low energy track, you know, the complete opposite of what I'm honestly creating on a daily basis. So definitely took me a while to think about this. And what I did was I sat down with Wes and I was just bouncing ideas off each other. We had totally different concepts, and then I kind of finalized this one, and that's the way it went. But the energy of the track really influenced it. So that's kind of what determined the mood of the video. But the actual theme of it, I wanted to think about something that was just more relatable. We had something else that we were gonna do that was way more like too specific, and I feel like other people would have watched it and been bored or not understand it. And so this one, you know, the guy being that he's just being hounded by work but wants to do what he loves, and then eventually chooses what he loves to do over that. It's kind of like a very broad theme that I feel like, you know, everyone should do. So that was definitely a cool opportunity to execute that theme with this video. So looking back, one of my biggest tips, the thing that made this whole thing come together and just really efficient and everything, was simply the planning. The amount of planning that went into this. I did my first storyboard treatment for this and presented it to Epidemic Sound, which they approved on and loved, and that's how we kind of had the whole direction of the video. After that, I went and did an individual scene list followed by a exact shot list. So the great thing about that was it was the easiest video to edit, believe it or not. You know, I thought this thing was going to take me hours and days and weeks possibly, but we put it together in like the first day. One day of editing, we had the whole thing on the timeline cut up exactly to what I thought it was going to look like, which was even more fulfilling, that the fact that I could look back at the storyboard and I'm like, that's exactly how I planned it, and that's how it was executed. And so planning is the one big thing that made this thing succeed so efficiently. And it really made me realize how much more time you can spend on planning to make your editing so much easier for any type of work, which is definitely something I'm trying to do. If there's anything you take away this. Planning was the key, especially for the edit. Like I mentioned, it was just incredible how efficient and smoothly it came together. We put it on the timeline and just cut it up so quickly that it just made it all that easier, because we already knew the track that we were working with, so we just had to match the visuals with it. We had the storyboard treatment for it that was already a framework of our edit, and it came together perfect. And the client already kind of knows what to expect, just waiting to see how you produce it. Locations can change, and plan backups. It's so important, especially how I mentioned we had to switch locations at the very end of it. Luckily, having enough time and giving us a couple hours in between shoots gave us that opportunity to go find a new one and make sure that it's what we needed. Having a solid team made all the difference. If I didn't have the people that I had, you know, this awesome group of creators that are my close friends, but also, you know, great at what they do, could have turned out differently. Maybe if I only hired one or two people or decided to shoot this on my own, could have not turned out like this whatsoever. And so having everybody doing specific roles so I could focus on one thing, which was directing, made all the difference. It's the opposite of, you know, YouTube videos. I am planning it, shooting it, then editing it, producing it, all of the steps from start to finish, but it was the opposite with this, and it was honestly so nice getting to just focus on one thing, just directing and making sure that this is how it needs to be done. Way more efficient that way. That's why films are done like that. Use the gear that you actually need. Don't get caught up on it. If you want to just choose one camera and one lens, if you know that that can get it done, so be it. You know, we could have honestly probably used a 24-70 because we used a 24 and a 50, but I, of course, wanted some more shallow depth of field shots and just have the flexibility to open that aperture up at 1.4 for low light scenes because we were going to shoot at night. All of these things, but I still only wanted to use 2 lenses. I didn't bring the whole arsenal. I didn't use my 35 or my 85. And honestly, the less gear that you have with you, the less stressful and the less you're gonna question your decisions on whether you should shoot it with this or use this. Just use what you need, especially for these, you know, smaller productions that are mostly on you. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is everything that I learned from this major video production. I was honestly so nervous in the beginning, but now that it's complete, it was the most rewarding, most fun, most efficient, everything. Like, just the best video shoot I've ever been on and had the pleasure to do and direct. I've never gotten to do something like this, and I hope I can do a lot more because I do have a passion for filmmaking. I love making these videos and, you know, the business that I run, the client work, but this just hit different. It was just a whole nother level of creativity and just things I didn't know we could even create as a team. And so it was just the most rewarding shoot ever, and like I said, I hope I can do more. So leave a like if you enjoyed, comment down your thoughts, subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you guys to be part of the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.